Welcome to Cyber Marketing Con Day 2. Thank you so much for joining us. For those that have been with us since day 1, thank you for coming back. We love you all. Today, we're super excited for this session. We're big fans of Dr. Hasib. We've been following him for a while, and we're so happy he's gracing us with a great deal of his advice and wisdom today. Dr. Hasib, thank you so much for being with us today. I want to introduce a little bit about you. Dr. Hasib has established a global personal brand as a digital strategist and business executive, author, and of course, public speaker. Brings 30 years of experience in healthcare, biotechnology, education, cybersecurity, and energy. And his new book, Bring Inner Greatness Out, explains how sales and marketing has changed dramatically from an expensive ad driven strategy to an inexpensive but highly effective personal brand driven strategy. And I think a lot of us on the marketing teams are trying to drive this pivot along with the sales team, social selling, brand, and everything. So I'm pretty sure Dr. Hasib will dive a little bit deeper and bring a human element to that sales and marketing relationship. He won the Global 2017 People's Choice Award in cybersecurity and competing against 19 companies and 3 individuals. And of course, he repeated this feat in 2020. Dr. Hasib, thank you again. The mic is yours. And I can't wait for this. I have my notepad and pen ready.
Thank you, Maria. That was amazing. I really appreciate that. And thank you all for joining today. For us to buy anything, value has to be higher than the price. And then the higher the value compared to the price, the more likely we are to buy it. But value is a feeling. It's an emotion. In traditional marketing, feeling of value is created through ads, TVs, newspaper, radio, billboards, content marketing, you name it. However, these are all very expensive with very short shelf life and limited impact. And therefore, they have to be repeated constantly, sometimes multiple times during a single day. However, technology has democratized mass communications, and we all have a voice today and can build personal brands through thought leadership and knowledge sharing on a global scale, which means every person in any company now can be a brand ambassador. It is cheap, has a long shelf life, and lasting impact because other people value and share our content with their network. Let me share a story to explain this. In April of 2016, I joined a university as chair of a program. The program was 10 years old. Enrollment fluctuated between 1,000 to 1,500 students globally. As soon as I joined, I adjusted my personal branding activities to promote the program at a cost of $0. That fall, we had the highest enrollment ever in the history of the program. Enrollment increases averaged between 48% to 69% annually, even though the overall enrollment at the university was down 4.2%. And the marketing department had actually laid off a whole bunch of people that were student recruiters. So what did I do that was so different from anyone else? And why did this happen? Remember, it's all about feeling. So first, I established a relationship with all students and faculty in my program using digital tools. Any student or faculty could call or email me with an issue and expect a response within 24 hours. I established a relationship with career services so students would start their job searches at the beginning of the programs, not at the end after graduation when they're really struggling and scared and nervous. I coached students on personal branding and thought leadership presentations and made it part of the core curriculum. because I believe knowledge alone is not sufficient. You need to be able to talk about yourself, and you need to have a personal brand to break through the noise to land jobs. I encouraged students and faculty to mention the name of the university and the program name every time they did anything. Every time I spoke for free at any conference, I negotiated free display tables, booths, free passes for students. At times, I was able to take 50, 30, 25 students for free. Guess what happened as they were networking through the conference? They were promoting my program and its reputation. We entered contests and won awards individually as well as for the program. The program won Best Cybersecurity Higher Education Program in the USA 2 years in a row in 2018 and 2019. Graduates won awards, faculty won awards. I appeared on TV. I created a YouTube channel and put content from various people on there, and content changed on a daily basis, so people had a reason to come back. At times, even a single conference had 4 or 5 of my representatives speaking at the event. So what did this all do? It created a feeling of incredible value. By the middle of 2019, enrollment grew to 4,800 globally, and revenue grew from 30 million to 117 million annually. Now you may ask, was it due to the personal branding activities? Well, in January of 2020, I joined another university, and 400 students who would have gone to the previous university followed me to the new university. Enrollment at the previous university plummeted immediately. Today, less than 2 years after my departure, enrollment is back down to roughly 1,000 to 1,500 students again. Revenue has dropped so much so quickly that they had multiple rounds of layoffs within the last 2 years. Let's analyze what happened. For most organizations, including universities, the market is now global. Therefore, marketing also has to be global. However, if you try to do traditional marketing on a global scale, you simply cannot afford it. Traditional marketing relies on local, city, state level campaigns. But marketing today is all about relationships, and we can never build relationships through ads. We can through personal branding. As we build relationships, we create higher and higher feelings of value. The relationships deepen over time. People develop trust in us, and trust has incredible value. You will often pay more to someone you trust, even if someone else offers a lower price. Most often, you will not look at competitors. When we lower prices, because that's another way to make the value appear higher than the price, lower the price. Well, what happens? It reduces profits. It will also reduce quality, which will reduce profits even further. I have never competed on price. That is a losing proposition. So my model has always been to decide what I need to charge to provide the service in a way that it will make a memorable experience for my client. I have always told every one of my clients, when I was a real estate agent, I used to tell them, I will be the best real estate agent you will ever experience in your life. As a professor, I still tell every one of my students, I will be the best, I am the best professor you will ever experience in your life. How much value do you think that is? And then when you deliver, guess what? They're not going to go anywhere else. So personal branding is nothing more than that packaging we put around ourselves. As we project the high quality, we also project high value. Then, whichever program, initiative, or even conference we associate our brand with, they increase in value. Now, let's examine if personal brands can be more powerful than corporate brands. In 2017, I found myself competing in the People's Choice Award in cybersecurity. There were 23 contenders, 4 individuals, including me, and 19 companies. Anyone from anywhere in the world could vote for one of the contenders. There were publicity companies, media companies, huge household names, some with over 1 million subscribers, with hefty marketing budgets and massive databases to contact for voting. My budget was 0. And my database was 5,000 people. It did not seem fair that little individual me would have to compete against all these massive companies. So I tried to convince the organizers to hold a separate contest for individuals, but they wouldn't. Anyway, I decided to campaign. As people voted, people could see the tally in real time, and this made it really fun. My network and I were stunned when on the very first day, I received 100 votes and started leading the contest by a wide margin. People weren't voting for the companies. And none of us could understand this because it was not something we were used to. The executives from the big companies contacted the organizers. What is going on? How can an individual get so many votes? A professor beating out these massive companies? But everybody else was supporting me because I was the underdog, and they had a blast watching the underdog win. On March 22nd, 2017, I received the trophy. Now what happened? So what happened here? Well, here's what happened. Even though my primary database of people were small, when my global supporters learned that I was a contender, they mobilized to support me in a way I had never seen before. They solicited their networks to vote for me. People I did not know voted simply because their friends or relatives had asked them. It was fascinating and heartwarming for me to watch faculty members, students, former students, professional colleagues all over the world campaigning on my behalf through blogs, stories, articles, phone calls, emails, social media. Vote me. He says, hey, I voted for Dr. Hasib. I think you should too. He did this for me. He did that for me. And then these people even started sending me messages wishing me the best. My students were particularly passionate. Many got their children, family members, and friends to vote, and then excitedly told me how many votes they got. My niece threatened to unfriend people if they did not vote for me. She got me like 70-some votes. It was incredible. Thus, my network of 5,000 people turned out to be huge with this amazing network multiplier effect. This type of passionate mobilization is never seen on behalf of a company. People do not have strong emotional attachments to company brands anymore, mainly because company brands have been tarnished through all these layoffs and really bad treatment of people. Company brands have been tarnished. So people don't have an emotional attachment to companies anymore. And you will see that even longevity in companies is very rare now. People go to a company 2-3 years later, they want to go to some other company because that loyalty has declined. And as a result of all this experience, one of the things that I learned very, very well is that people affiliate with people, not with companies. And this started to get seared into my brain. All right, so 2017, I won that. I'm still wondering, well, I was still with a university. Did I win because of the university? Or did I win because of my brand? Well, in 2020, I had the chance to test this, because in 2020, someone nominated me again. One of my former students nominated me for an award. And this time, I had no affiliation with the university anymore. And I was the only contender with no organization name next to my name. This time, I won with the highest number of votes ever cast in that contest. Why? Because my network is now much larger than it was in 2017, and my work is much better known globally now. I'm doing books, audiobooks, and all these things, and I got videos. I got 100 videos on my channel. I mean, all these activities, and so therefore, it was much easier this time. And that is the power of a personal brand. So now I've shared some stories with you, and I appreciate that you listened to my stories. But I need you to think about this for a second and then come back to me with some questions and comments and thoughts about what I just said. Because in reality, if you want to really do marketing at a low cost, high impact, and long lasting, long shelf life, you have to not only exploit your own personal brand, but the brand of everybody in your organization. So if you're with a 1,000 member organization and you start putting all of them into this engagement, I'm telling you, you will knock the world dead. Now let's open up for questions.
Thank you so much. By the way, listening to you is so soothing. I think a lot of people on this call probably share the same sentiment. You're captivating. So yeah, this is amazing. Amazing stories. Thank you for sharing. And kudos to your niece. Talk about crowdsourcing. I love that. I would love actually to kick off with questions. You know, sometimes it's easier to build your own personal brand on your own if you really want to and you're determined. Now, you said that you can, of course, leverage your organization across, you know, teams to do the same, but it is sometimes hard to persuade, you know, people to do social selling and build their personal brand and kind of be the face of the company on an individual level. What are some tips that you can give us to be more persuasive to that really, really busy salesperson that'd rather be on the phone than on LinkedIn, or the busy founder who's, trying to answer all of the board's questions and doesn't have time for a LinkedIn or for a live chat? What are some things we can do?
Absolutely. The most important thing that you can do is share your knowledge. Remember, you are the marketing experts. You are the personal branding experts. So yes, if you can do it on your own, you can also teach this. And guess what? When you start teaching this in your company, everybody's going to become your best friend. How did I implement cybersecurity at various organizations? It wasn't what I implemented. It was what I trained. I used to spend 80% of my time and budget and efforts on training people, educating people, because technology or anything is useless unless people know how to use it. So personal branding, you are 100% correct, Maria. It is hard. Even if you master it, it's hard. So that is the biggest reason why I had to write this book, because yes, I was coaching people and I was making them great. And you will find tons of their stories in my book about the people that went through my coaching and mentoring and did that. But you see, I have to do this on a global scale. The only way for me to do this is through books and knowledge, that because I'm trying to help people that I will never meet, perhaps ever in person, right? Those books and my writings actually contain everything in a systematic way. And if you look at the reviews, you will see. Now, what you need to do is develop your own workshops around your own company branding and all that, because every company has their mission and the way they want things. But the key thing is for them to really start sharing their knowledge. In any cybersecurity company, if you can coach your CEO and the executives into public speaking and personal branding, guess what? They will be huge brand ambassadors for you. You see, the reason I was effective is because I'm program chair. I have a doctor of science in cybersecurity. So when I talk about cybersecurity, there is credibility. If a marketing person talks about cybersecurity, even if they're the best marketing person, they don't have a degree in cybersecurity. They don't teach cybersecurity. If somebody asks them a question about cybersecurity, they cannot really explain. If somebody says, how can I get into the field? Maybe they cannot explain. So you see, you need those experts engaged in your marketing. So think of yourself as the conductor of an orchestra, okay? All the other people are the experts. Remember, the conductor never plays any instrument, but without the conductor, that harmony, that beautiful orchestra will never work. Think of yourself that way. That's the way I always was. So even at the university, when I was there, I wasn't the only one doing it. Why did I engage all the students? Why did I make them go make presentations, write stories, and share their stories? Because every time they did that, not only were they promoting themselves, they were also promoting the program, me, everything. And every time they would go anywhere, they would say, hey, Dr. Hasib is my mentor. So guess what? That promotes me automatically, right? So this is what you want to do.
What I hear from you, Dr. Hasib, is you're making almost like that person who you're coaching the hero, right? Like you're saying, you have students in particular, your students are the hero. They are the ones going out and giving presentations. They're the ones going out, and because they're affiliated with the university you're at, that brand value and trust is shared. And I'd also add, I saw a question, Olivia had the same question that you asked, Maria. From my perspective, what I like to do also is make people jealous. So I don't know if that's your opinion, Dr. Hasib, but if you so for example, if I do a post and it gets 4,000 comments or 4,000 views, not comments, I've never gotten that many comments, I could show that to sales and show it and kind of be like, woohoo, we did this. And it might add, if your salespeople are super competitive, you can maybe do like some sort of competition there.
Well, you could, but that can become dangerous because remember, in a team, you're on the same team. So one of the things I've never done is I've never competed within the organization and among the people. And I always said that I'm not in competition with you and all that. And most of the time it's not fair because they have different expertise. And the beautiful thing is, again, think of yourself like a orchestra conductor or a baseball manager, because see, everybody is a position player. And you will never have a winning team if there's all the other losers in your organization, right? So when I was winning these awards, even though I was the first to win the award, the very next year, I helped my boss win an award. And the year after that, I helped another person win an award. So what I was basically portraying is that this is not a one-person shop. I was the conductor of the orchestra. And as the students won awards, they were beating out everybody else because they were doing videos, they were doing cyber raps, they were doing cyber humor. I mean, so again, I was bringing out their inner greatness. So if I see somebody who was doing raps, and actually this is something also in my book and story, because this was one of the things that brought us the award in 2019. One of my students basically wrote a poem about cybersecurity. And I said, wow, this is pretty amazing. A poem about cybersecurity, I've never seen that, but it looked like it had rhythm, rhyme and everything. So I said, hey, can you make this into a rap? I didn't know that she could actually do rap. I just said it, but guess what? 3 weeks later, she had a rap. But then I told her to put music on it. She put music on it. Then I said, okay, I want you to open up a cybersecurity presentation with this rap. And she said, oh my God, Dr. Hasib, what will people think? I said, look, if you worry about what people will think, you can never be great in this business. You have to break out through the noise. Do what nobody else will dare to do. And nobody else has the talent that you do. You have this unique talent. Nobody else can do this cyber rap. So anyway, she trusted me, she did it. And that's what won her the 2019 Rising Star of the Year award. I mean, that was incredible from ISC Square. 2 of my mentees did that. What does that do? You see, it builds them up, but also builds everybody else up along with that. That's what I mean, Gianna. So your question is very, very good. And this is human nature to try to compete within the team, but you never want to do that. That is something I never allowed.
That's brilliant. And I totally, anyone who was listening to me before, don't listen to me. That was wrong.
No, that was such a valid question, though, because that is human nature, right? We want to compete, but you want to compete against all the other people outside your organization. Within the organization, your job really, honestly, is to help everyone else around you succeed. As a matter of fact, during a job interview at one of the universities, they asked me, why should I hire you? Why are you the best candidate? I said, I am probably the only person who would never let you fail, never knowingly let you fail. I will work very hard to make everyone around me successful. And that's something that I've done throughout my entire life, because we can never succeed in a losing team, right? Impossible.
Dr. Hasib, tell us a little bit about the human element. You and I were chatting before the session started. And I think a lot of us struggle about how much vulnerability and how much we can put ourselves out there, both on LinkedIn or Twitter, and what's the difference and what's the tone. What has worked for you, and what has been sort of that winning tone?
This is a beautiful question, Maria. I thank you for that. This is a very, very natural question, because when I coach people on public speaking and this personal branding, and then bringing out your inner greatness, you see, you have to reveal the stories inside you. You have to, because again, connection is an emotional thing. A relationship is an emotional thing. As you start to bring out yourself and show your talents to the world, you will feel vulnerable. That's okay. That's how we all are. It's the same way as you approach, say, the first time you're talking to somebody. It's kind of faltering, right? You don't know what you're saying and all that. But as the relationship deepens, you're able to share more. Well, the same thing, think of it in a global scale. People want to know you. They don't want to know the false Maria. They want to know the real Maria. And guess what? There's only one real Maria in the entire world. All right. That uniqueness. So one of the sayings that I always say is that don't be shy about embracing yourself. We don't know we don't have any control over where we're born, what the color of our skin is, or anything like that, or what our accent is. But guess what? It still makes us who we are. And we can never run away from that. We should embrace that. So that is why in personal branding, one of the first things that I teach people is to embrace yourself. Because again, everybody will have an accent, but the key is to be clear. If you notice, I have an accent, but I work very hard to be very clear in my diction. And that's through training. Anybody can do that.
Dr. Hasib, what are some strategies or trainings? So a lot of, sorry, I'll back up a little. So at my company, I'm sure other companies, there are great, brilliant people who are afraid of putting themselves out there, like our technical people. I work with a lot of people from other countries, and they're nervous about speaking on camera. They're very nervous. They don't want to, be the star of the show. And I understand that some people are just never going to want to be on camera. But for other people, what are some trainings? What are some things you can suggest that will help them feel more comfortable? And that I could say, hey, as a marketer, I can help you with this training, with this resource, with this support, so that you feel like you can, represent the company better and put yourself out there a little more.
This is another brilliant question, mainly because, again, this is a big hurdle. How are you going to do this? There are two ways. One, there is a nonprofit organization called Toastmasters. I am the biggest fan of Toastmasters. I didn't know anything about it. I joined the nuclear power plant. I was literally barely 30 years old. And they told me, hey, if you want to make it in executive leadership, you have to be in this Toastmasters club. So it was a plant club. So you can do Toastmasters as your company organization. You can have a Toastmasters for your company organization where you start preparing all those pitches and everything that you're going to do, all the public speaking that you're going to do around your brand or whatever. You can do that. Or you can join your regular Toastmasters, or you can join both. There's nothing wrong with that. So I learned my public speaking there in 1991. So if you notice in my speech, you will not hear ooh, all these things. You will also see modulation. You will also see pauses and all these things. Where does that come from? Training. It's a very simple thing. Okay. So if you go there, the first thing they put me through is what is called an ah counter. My very first 5-minute speech, I probably had 50 ahs in there. Now I could go 3 hours without a single ah, but through training. How long does it take? Roughly a year. So many of my mentees, they start to see results within a year. And then they start to become more and more confident, because every success will engender more success. So you can never learn to ride a bicycle if you read about it and never ride a bicycle, right? It's the same way. Same thing about a car. So same thing. Yes, of course people are going to, but you cannot train your way out of this. It's a matter of practice. This is something they have to do. And I would recommend every marketer also, because public speaking is so important. You will literally make your compensation 50% higher if you can master the art of public speaking. And it's an art. I'm telling you, it's an art. Okay, public speaking is an art. Same thing with camera presence, use of various devices to improve. And again, in my book, I go through all of that also. I showed every device that I used. I even showed how I edited the sound for audiobooks and all that, and how people can publish their own books and publish audiobooks. So how did I get into voice acting? So you talked about this, I guess, my ability to deliver. Well, I decided to suddenly in January exploit that. I said, wait a minute, I bet you there are lots of authors that can never read their books, and they have to hire all kinds of expensive people. So I decided, why don't I start offering? And guess what? I have more business that I can handle. So it's another revenue stream. So this is another thing about personal branding and things like that. As you develop your talents, you can start to monetize various things that you never even thought about.
Dr. Hasib, I have a question. I want to take you back to a comment you made earlier about being a credible subject matter expert in cybersecurity, and how sometimes, and not all, marketers will not have that sort of knowledge because they don't come from a technical background. They don't have a cybersecurity degree, but we are expected to jump into the job, understand the highly technical products, and market them and feel confident to talk about them and even write about them. I know a lot of marketers that are great at this, very, very members of the society. But there are a lot of marketers that are just getting into cybersecurity, can feel intimidated in a roundtable full of acronyms and technology speak. What advice do you have for those? And what resources could we go to for, I don't know, plugging our brain with a USB into a cybersecurity brain and then just downloading everything?
No, as long as you know 7th grade English, if you just read my book, Cybersecurity Leadership, that will explain cybersecurity to you in a way that marketers will understand. Not only that, you will actually find that many people in your own company don't really understand cybersecurity. And you could take chapter 1 of my book and prepare your spiel and presentation on what cybersecurity is. To tell you honestly, if you want to market cybersecurity and you don't know what cybersecurity is or don't know how to explain it, it'll be very hard, because right now there are plenty of companies out there that are marketing cybersecurity incorrectly by spelling it wrong. Some people spell it as cyberspace security. Some people do cyber-security. So you can immediately say they don't know the field. All right. And then when you ask them, okay, you want to sell me a cybersecurity solution, what is your definition of cybersecurity? And they cannot define it. They will start to say, oh, it's protecting the information and this and that. No, I even give you a formal definition that you can put out there, and it will blow people's minds. One of the simplest way I explain is cybersecurity is people-powered perpetual innovation. All right. Why? Because in the model that I shared, one of the most important thing about cybersecurity is perpetual innovation. If you never innovate, it doesn't matter what kind of product you buy, it will fail, because the hackers are innovating continuously. All right. So you stay static, you're a sitting duck. Second thing is configuration. People configure it wrong usually. And if you're not configuring it correctly, it'll be wrong. Then people train other people. So you see, humans are the most important element in the cybersecurity strategy. So that's also something you will find in my book. The book also contains things about how to build teams. So the thing that Gianna talked about, the teamwork business, how do you build within the team? Well, I have full methodology for building teams. How do you run meetings so that it'll be effective? I show that. There's a whole bunch of things. So all of these leadership elements are right there. That's what a marketer needs. So I'll give an example. There's a big company actually in Spain that reached out to me, the person who is just inherited a job, but she had read one of my books, and she reached out to me and said, Dr. Hasib, how can I be a better marketer? Guess what? I put her through both books, and then she had a 1-hour session with me with our plan, because I said, okay, after you've gone through the books, develop a plan, and then spend an hour with me going over your marketing plan, and then we will adjust. Guess what? That was 6 months ago, and she's still telling me she's making money like crazy. She's getting like CEO interviews and all that, and everybody's saying, wow, I've never heard a marketer who can actually explain cybersecurity to me. How is she doing that? Because again, learning, you have to learn from the right sources. You can't just go to the wrong sources and understand cybersecurity. Cybersecurity isn't about technology. It's more about people. Think about it as perpetual innovation.
A really interesting angle that simplifies it a lot. And I think it makes it also less daunting for those of us that still feel intimidated. Thanks for that.
Remember, my background, economics and political science, when I joined the field. And actually, that was one of my interview questions. You're in economics and political science. What makes you so special? Why should we hire you? So I said, okay, we have the 7 layers of networking, but the 8th layer is all about economics and politics. It's all about communications, return on investment. And that's what I know, which most other people with technical backgrounds, computer science backgrounds will not know. That's how I got my very first job at the nuclear power plant.
Wow. I mean, I know there was something that drew me to you. I'm a political science major myself, but now in marketing, I mean, those
are the best people, because you know how to build relationships and how to talk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How should an introvert begin personal branding, from Wendy?
Excellent. Again, I would recommend that you join Toastmasters, because you will be an introvert until you aren't. Okay, because the question isn't introversion. Introversion comes mainly from lack of confidence. And what you will get is this confidence that you will develop through practice.
My problem is more, I don't feel a lack of confidence. I suffer horribly from imposter syndrome.
Yeah, that also, again, it's a matter of practice. One of my mentees who won the 2020 Rising Star of the Year award, she will still tell you she's an introvert, but guess what? She's speaking at global conferences. She's very high in demand. She's working with people on her resumes and stuff like that. Again, how did she do it? When I first even talked to her about going to a conference just to attend a conference, she didn't want to do it. But I said, you will never make it in this field. You will never make it big. Let's say that, okay? Everybody can skate through. But if you really want to break through and have a very successful and happy life and career, you have to do conferences and networking. Well, she started slowly. She would go and all that. And then very slowly, she discovered that she can add various elements, like she's very humorous. Now bring your humor. See, you have to search inside yourself, Wendy. And again, if you go through the book, you will see it actually tells you to identify what you believe are your strengths. You will want to bring as much of those strengths into that, whatever it is that you're doing. That will change this perspective. For example, I was just telling Maria about me bringing an electric guitar at a Facebook Live event. And it blew the mind of the interviewer. He said, "Why did you bring that?" I said, "I want you to ask me that question during the interview." Why did I bring that? Because I can. You should do things because you can.
Thank you. That's helpful.
I love that. I'm totally bringing a guitar to my next one-on-one with the CEO.
There you
This is amazing. Okay, we have something from Jen. Do you have any guided meditations in addition to your books? If not, you should.
Okay, now to talk about that. So again, we don't know what somebody is going to need. So I'll show you. So you will have to figure out what it is you will have to do to get to the goal. So my student, who is the cyber rapper, as I told you, she's very afraid. She was very afraid of public speaking and all that. She told me she's very afraid of crowds and public speaking. So I said, look, I don't know what you need to do to overcome that fear, but you will have to overcome that fear and go out there, because otherwise you can never be great. So here's what she did. She figured out, oh, there's this gadget she found on Amazon where she can put it on her head and she can have a virtual crowd. All right. She practiced with that virtual crowd for 6 months. 6 months she did it. So you have to have the discipline. It does take work. See, bringing out your inner greatness is work, but it can be done. It's systematic. You have to do, I don't know what somebody will take, what somebody will need to get there. But when they do, it'll be amazing, because the very first time you do it, you'll get confidence. The next time, easier and easier and easier. The other day, that same student who was afraid to speak in front of a crowd spoke in front of 1,700 people. And she basically said, this is what, and her mom actually sent me a note and said that, I don't know what you did with her, because she was shy. She would never speak and everything, but you certainly brought out her inner greatness. But you see, I didn't kind of bring it out. I told her, this is what you have to do. Now, how you do it, you have to figure this one out. I didn't know that there was even a gadget like that that you could do this simulated crowd, but that was a brilliant idea.
Amazing, amazing so far. I think that I need to follow up for some personal coaching. You've inspired me today.
But in all sincerity, don't do personal coaching until you've read my materials. Read the 2 books. Then what you will find is that even 1 hour of personal coaching will be dramatic, because you need to have a plan. If you have a plan, then only 1 hour of coaching will be dramatically different, because otherwise I have to.
So weird.
Yeah, I mean, the audiobook for the personal branding is 9 hours long. So think about that. How I mean, that's a lot of sessions.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Dr. Hasib, how can people get in touch with you? I'd love to put your contact information, if you're willing to share, here in the chat before we log off.
Well, it's very easy. I believe my website is right there.
Your website is right there, yeah.
So, and then anybody can connect with me on LinkedIn, as long as you're a human being, not a bot or a miscreant. I'm more than happy to accept connections. So just looked on LinkedIn, and my website has a contact.
Perfect.
page also. So if you really want to contact me for any reason, you can just fill out that contact form. It'll come to me. I don't publicly share out my email addresses and things like that for obvious reasons.
It's okay. Like a true cybersecurity practitioner. No problem.
I want to know who wants to know.
Well, thank you so much. This has been truly inspiring and very calming and just amazing session. Thank you for being with us and giving us an hour of your time. Thank you everyone for joining. We hope to see you for the rest of the day. And Dr. Hasib, I think you are in the Cyber Marketing Conference Slack, so you hang out. We have channels for each day and we have some networking channels as well, if you'd like to join that.
All right, thanks. Now, I don't think I would do Slack, but because it's not something I do Twitter and I do LinkedIn.
Okay,
So people can
and that's fine.
network with me over there, have any questions, comments, whatever. Happy to take those there.
Perfect, perfect. We're using our Cyber Marketing Con hashtag on Twitter, so we'll see you there. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Maria. That was wonderful. Thank you for hosting.
Pleasure is ours. Thank you.